Roger Bennett is the founder, the CEO, and the gorgeous face of the Men in Blazers Media Network. He's got another New York Times best-selling book. It's opening today, by the way, and I know it's going to be a bestseller, even though he's got previous bestsellers. We Are the World, a personal history of the world's greatest sporting event. We're 100 days out from the World Cup. Always good seeing you, Roger. Thank you for making the time for us. Greg was saying that he thinks there's the possibility that the U.S. is going to play Iran in the World Cup. I don't think Iran's going to play in the World Cup. I don't know for sure. Where are you on this? And welcome, Roger. Let's greet him with a little bit of war to start the proceedings.
Big Danny, that's a lot. We covered a lot of ground. My book, We Are the World Cup, is the official title, baby. And it is a joy to be back with you, you gracious human being. Where am I on war? Is that, you're asking me, is that the threshold question?
Well, Greg Cody thinks that the university, that there's a chance the United States will play against Iran, and I don't think that's probably going to happen.
You know, the joy of the World Cup, it's why I wrote the bloody book, man. Is that when it kicks off, it's like a global eclipse that strikes the entire planet for its duration. And the memories it makes, which this is a book of memories, are so powerful because the World Cup is a mirror to the society that surrounds it. I'll be honest, Dan, I've always thought that was an amazing thing. When two teams take the field in World Cup play, you know, when the Red Sox play the Athletics, that's an amazing game of baseball. It's like chess with chewing tobacco, but it is what it is. But when two World Cup teams take the field, their nation's histories, the nation's politics, the nation's cultures take the field alongside them. That's what makes the tournament just so much heft, so much emotional weight and all of that. And that gives us true global connectivity. I'm not going to lie, we're 100 days away. The run-up to the tournament has been chaotic. If it is a mirror to the world, what we're seeing in the reflection is ugly. But that's kind of where we are. It's like the joy of the thing has always been that it reflects our reality, and right now our reality is pretty chaotic.
It's not global connectivity, right? I mean, where are we headed with this? What do you imagine is going to happen where the messiness from outside of the stadiums ends up inside of the stadiums?
God, the messiness, the Lionel messiness is what we need. But I'd say number one, I've come to realize that football, soccer, there's a German coach, Jurgen Klopp, who says it's the world's most important, least important thing. And I will say, to me, it's become ever more important. The feelings we experience from it are all the more powerful because of the heft, because of the weight, because of what it provides to the rest of the world. And I will say, typically when the whistle goes, when the ball's kicked, like the world, it's like the rationale falls away, the emotional kicks over, it's cognitive dissonance 1, geopolitics 0. And every World Cup, Dan, in the run-up in the modern period, 2010 in South Africa, all of the newspapers around the world were saying, the level of crime there, carjacking, everyone that goes is going to get assaulted at best, murdered at worst. It was the most joyous World Cup I've ever been to. Nelson Mandela's shadow over the whole thing, the continent of Africa rising up. 2014, I was in riots in Brazil. In the run-up to that World Cup, the nation was full of unrest, social, political unrest. They wanted social services and education, not the money to be pumped into world football. The second that kicked off, it was ebullient. 2022 is another example in a different way. Qatar, a chaos and darkness in the run-up. And again, for good and for bad, that cognitive dissonance kicks in. So I do think by the time that ball drops, the US take the field, England take the field, Kazakhstan take the field, that we're going to be, America loves a circus, the world loves a circus, and everybody will kick in, and there will be that global connectivity because we bloody need it.
Roger, are you sure, though? Because those other examples you're talking about, those are countries and continents that care about soccer. The United States, I don't know that it can be accused of caring that way.
What are you talking about, Dan? What decade are we in? Is it 1960? Are you like Jack Kemp taking to the floor of Congress in the 80s when we were awarded the 94 World Cup and you're like, soccer? He said, I wrote about it in my book, Jack Kemp, the great quarterback, kind of great, doing a lot of heavy lifting there. He said We need to teach America's youth that football is where you rush and run and throw and use your hands and not where you kick it. He said one is American capitalism, the other is European socialism. Dan, soccer was The Economist just revealed soccer is the third biggest sport in America. I was just on A-Rod's show. And A-Rod kept saying, he essentially asked me 10 questions, the same one. It was like, when's this soccer thing going to take off? I was like, A-Rod, it's just beat out baseball. It's like, baseball's the fourth most popular sport. Soccer's third. He was like, go on. I was like, I felt like I was saying, Dan, and I feel like to you and your listeners, I feel like I'm like, guys, I know you think the earth is flat. Stay with me here. It's round, man. Football is already massive here, Dan. You know it is. It is,
Roger,
baby, number 3.
You need the United States to be good at soccer. We're never good at soccer.
With our women, kick ass, take names, baby. We are so good. Gold medal, wonder winners. We perpetual. Not last World Cup, but everyone before that. We are gorgeous. Yeah, on men, we invented the Krona. We put a man on the moon. We've won one knockout game in our entire nation's history, going all the way back to George Washington. Bit embarrassing. But God, football and sport is about eternal hope, Dan. Get behind the lads.
All right, that's one positive spin for it. I don't think this is Didier Drogba exactly stopping a civil war with the game of football, but I really appreciate your hopefulness here.
Well, Roger,
get some Kenny Powers energy behind this team. You know what I mean? You see Morocco go deep into the semi-final last time. Iceland, 220,000 people went deep in the Euros before that. I do look at it and I wonder, why never us? Why never us? I mean, you don't have to be good at football to go deep in this tournament. You just need a little bit of magic. So bloody hell, please make it. I'd like to see the US win the World Cup once on the men's side in my lifetime, Dan.
Well, the home nation generally gets a little bit of bump, as you know. Will that affect the U.S. hopes? Like, what do you think the ceiling is for how well the U.S. team might do?
It is the greatest individual set of footballers we've ever had, pound for pound, in terms of the teams they play on, you know, the caliber of European team they play on. Collectively, it's an unknown because we're hosting. They didn't have to qualify. They've not really been tested in the crucible of... It's like they played essentially NFL preseason games for the past year and a half, 2 years. If you want me to be really honest for a second, I love this US team. I wrote about it in the book how, 94, when the Men's World Cup was last here, just moved to America. I'd never seen an American kick a soccer ball before. They took the field in stonewashed denim. They had mullets. They were chewing gum. They had swagger. And they kicked ass, and I fell in love with them immediately. I know I sound like I'm from England, but I cheer for this US team with all of my heart. And the one thing that I do fear is we were darlings at football in the World Cup 2014 in Brazil. Like, the world really loved the team, and they loved the fans. I don't know if you remember Clint Dempsey, who has a show with us now, but that guy's spirit, just a gunslinger who always fancied his chances, the can-do spirit, and the fans were, just everywhere in Brazil, and the world loved us. The thing I do worry about is that mirror to the world and who we are. And last year, 2025, we played back-to-back games against Panama. Their locker room talked about, the canal, and they beat us. They wanted to absolutely beat the crap out of us. And then we played Canada a couple of days later, the 51st straight brouhaha. And Canada wanted to wipe the floor with us. And so, we were the darlings. We're definitely going to be a team that many, thank God Greenland don't qualify for the World Cup is, I guess, what I'm saying.
Roger, you hosted American Fiasco about the 98 World Cup experience. It was one of the best long-form podcast series I had ever heard. And I do think there are some comparisons with the promise of a couple of years ago and a golden generation, and then this team never really found its form. Now, I know it's settled in a little bit more, but are you afraid of a couple of years from now having to do a sequel to American Fiasco?
Look, in football, you need to know what you don't know. And for that, also the American owners. You've got to remember, Dan, when you're talking about whether America cares about football, the Premier League, the best league in the world, is now the majority of teams are owned, for better or for worse, by Americans. And the ones that thrive Watching Liverpool reborn under the Red Sox ownership, Tom Werner and John Henry. When you speak to those guys, they know what they don't know about the anarchical world of football. And in that 98 World Cup, the World Cup is bloody hard to win. Only like 8 teams have ever won it in its existence. To go all the way through the tournament with supreme focus, a culture of belief, and that element of luck. But the US had not qualified since 1950. They qualified in 1990 with a team essentially of college kids. Hilarious. They were like tourists with good tickets. They got a really close-up view of the football as they got their ass kicked. And then 94, they did fine. We mystify them and say they were unbelievable. They came third in their group, got into the next round, July 4th, played against Brazil, and lost valiantly. So left with their heads held high. And in 98, this is an amazing American POV, and I love it. I admire it. It's what drew me to this nation. Interviewing the players about that time, one of them said the following to me. Remember, World Cup bloody hard to win. Everybody knows how hard it is, apart from the Americans. One of them said to me, 90, we showed the world we could qualify. 94, we showed the world we belonged. 98, we were going to go there and win it. And of course, they came rock bottom. They were humiliated. They actually got beaten by Iran. I write about it in my book. I mean, a loss that set the game back probably by about 20 years in this nation. And that's the sad thing for me, as someone that loves the rise of this game in this nation. I mean, it's been the story of my life, the biography of my life. America, when I came here in 94, was like space to Captain Kirk, the final frontier for the game. We are now a true football-loving nation. But the men's national team, we love a dream team in the United States, and it remains a dream-on team. And please God, it will change in my lifetime.
The book he has is out now, We Are the World Cup, a personal history of the world's greatest sporting event. What are you expecting in terms of nations withdrawing, boycotts, all of the fun that politics will bring?
We've got to get Jake Tapper on the show. Get me, Tapper, get Blitzer on, get Caitlin Collins on, and we'll go on the geopolitical tip. Right now, the Iran question, the answer is nobody knows. Iran have qualified for this World Cup. It was incredible 36 hours after the weekend's news. The head of the Iranian Football Association was already putting out a statement amidst everything that was going on, saying we don't know if we'll be able to play in this World Cup. It's an unprecedented situation. Teams have pulled out of World Cups before. India, 1950, because they didn't have the money to travel to the tournament. Austria, for even darker reasons, in the 30s, because they'd been annexed by Germany, and so the Austrians played on the German team. I crap you not. Again, a mirror to the world that surrounds it. So the Iran situation is unprecedented. FIFA are trying to catch up. The FIFA, the organising committee for the World Cup, are trying to play catch up with these fast-moving realities. There's rumours that if they are not able to play, Iraq would play instead, or the United Arab Emirates. So we'll have to see. But in terms of the rest, there's been no conversation, no talk, and a couple of footballers have ruminated publicly. But again, once you get closer to this World Cup, it is crazy. We saw it with Qatar. There was a lot of ruminating in the run-up to that World Cup. And then once that ball takes the field, once Lionel Messi walks onto the field, the world is mesmerized, the world is connected, and the footballers, they dream of playing this tournament, for their whole life. And so once that goes, the tournament kicks off, and it's just, it is that global eclipse in that moment.
Who do you expect among the host countries to go the furthest? From Mexico, Canada, the U.S.? You're expecting the most from whom?
I'd love the U.S. Come on. I mean, God, we need to...
Not hope. Not what are you hoping, Roger? Surely you can separate your emotion from your analysis.
Without emotion, I have nothing, Dan. I'm just a broken husk of a human being. I am. You remember, I'm dead inside. The only reason I watch football because I feel emotions that you feel every day, Dan, like happiness, pain, sadness, triumph. Like without football, I am genuinely dead inside. I tell you what is a fascinating storyline, and I can't wait to watch it. Is Canada, led by Jesse Marsh, this child of Wisconsin. A US stalwart as a player, an amazing human being. I'm super fond of him. Quite outspoken, quite. He wanted to be the US coach. He believed he was going to be the next US coach. He was not the next US coach, and then he just boom became the Canadian coach. And he's built this incredible collective. They're young. They are multicultural. They're a reflection of a very beautiful, dynamic Canada. They are when he lights the tape up, they are a firework of a team. Sometimes they're a damp squib, but watching them in this World Cup on home turf, they've got their own narrative of Canada becoming a deep football-loving nation just like ours. Their prime minister is a massive football fan, Mark Carney, an enormous Premier League fan, huge Everton fan, which is the team I support. They're essentially like the Mets. They're just pain and agony. They're a pleasure that hurts. And so watching Canada, I think, try and win over their nation parallel to us will be dynamically beautiful.
He's an empty husk who's dead inside, and he's written another book, We Are the World Cup, a personal history of the world's greatest sporting event. It's always nice talking to you, always nice to have your insight, Roger. Thank you.